Hi, I'm Tara. I'm here today with Christine Jerrutts from Quant Speed, and I'm excited. This is going to be a fun topic to talk about because it's so different than what we normally talk about. Christine is a professional race car driver. Isn't that kind of cool for a woman? So I was excited to say, wow, you're in an industry that's really heavily male-dominated.
No doubt.
And kind of finding out what is that like as a woman in that kind of field, but also how you got into this. I mean, this isn't the kind of thing that I would expect my little girl to say, Mom, I want to go race car driving when I grow up.
Well, I didn't expect myself to say that either, actually. I only got started a few years ago, took a streetcar to a very casual sort of on-track learning day. A friend encouraged me to just go try it out. And tried it out, and one day of turning laps on a racetrack, and I was absolutely, instantly addicted. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's how it started. I just, one day that knew it was fun, went off, bought the first race car, just started competing, and it sort of taken off from there.
And it's funny, you talk about how you, on the way home, called your husband and said, we're buying a race car.
I don't know what kind, I don't know how this works, I just know we are doing it.
Wow.
And, he was very supportive and has been all along. I mean, he is my crew chief. He does all the tinkering, engineering on the car, and I get to do all the fun stuff, the driving.
So what are some of the advantages or disadvantages, or what have you found and experienced being a woman in a sport that really women aren't involved in?
Yeah, you're right. The numbers are incredibly persuasive in the male direction. A typical event, I race with SCAA, Sports Car Club of America. You might see 100 cars at a typical Colorado event, and no more than 4 or 5 women.
Wow.
So there's certainly not many of us. But you'd be interested to hear that on the racetrack, like in the paddock, on the track, at the actual events, there's not a whole lot of difference.
And that surprises me. I really expect you to say, yeah, there's a huge difference.
Yeah. And my thought on maybe why that's not the case is when you're strapped into the car and you're next to the next guy on the racetrack battling for a corner or battling for position, it doesn't really matter what gender you are, how physically strong you are, how loud your voice is, or any of those traits don't matter. The biggest differentiators or gender differentiators. It just matters who's going to take the corner faster. And so, as I've become faster and quicker and more aggressive on the track, the guys treat me like another guy in the race car.
And I had kind of said before, I wonder if losing to a girl is a bigger ego, shot than a guy who loses to a guy. And if there is that sense of there's no way I'm going to let a girl beat me.
Well, I'm sure there is some of that, but if they don't let it on, I don't hear about it. So.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, what about, because a big part of what you do as a professional race car driver is get sponsors, just like any professional athlete. So tell me a little bit more about how that works and maybe what you've experienced since you're now a woman looking for sponsors in this kind of industry.
Yeah, sure. So getting sponsors, in my opinion, is just like selling any other product. You build relationships with corporations and companies that are excited to have exposure in a racing arena or exposure on a race car, and then find ways to give back to them. So winning a race doesn't necessarily benefit a sponsor, so I try and do lots of marketing and promotional events for them. So presence on their websites, presence in videos, showing up for the Denver Auto Show or other industry shows related to those sponsors. And that's where the female difference has really sort of played out, because when I'm standing next to a race car at a car show in a fire suit, people will ask if it's a costume, or they'll ask if I want to be Danica Patrick, or, like all of a sudden then, and I'm more approachable too. I mean, people want to come up and ask for my autograph, and oh my gosh, who are you, and want to talk and be social, and so sort of the feminine angle there is
I like that they ask you if it's a costume.
Impactful. Yeah, that's happened several times.
That's really interesting.
Did you rent that? Like, no, this is my fire suit. I actually use it.
Yeah, right. That's a real thing. Now, do you think one of the things you talked about was for a sponsor, do they get a better bang for their buck because you are a woman? You are going to generate more attention, more recognition, people wanting to come over and talk to you versus the 5 guys just because of the gender difference. Do you think that helps you get sponsors?
Obviously, I can't say for sure since I'm not a guy, but I would guess yes, just because I'm a gregarious personality. I like doing that kind of stuff, and most of the male racers I know are no interest at all in standing around at a car show for 10 hours talking to people about what they do. And I love that. I love getting people excited about it. I love reaching out and meeting new people and talking to young kids that might want to drive, or getting other women excited about doing exactly what I did, just discover the racetrack. So probably.
So
yeah.
maybe some of the qualities that as women that really do separate us, that connecting, the relationship building, actually do help you because you're going to be more likely to do those things with your sponsorship than
That's
a man
right.
who's just, I want to race my
That's
car.
right.
And that's a general stereotype, but we're stereotyping today. Okay. Well, I'm so glad that you're here. You can find out more about what Christine does at her website below. If you're interested in how to get connected as a sponsor, certainly contact her. And you're just really blazing a trail for us
I
in
hope
a forefront.
so.
So it's so exciting to see women
Thanks for having me.
stepping out, doing something they're passionate about, and not letting gender barriers kind of stop them from
Exactly
doing
right.
that. So thanks for
Exactly right.
stopping by. We will see you next week.